Hello everyone, we are here, we are live, we are ready to go, and we're picking up not quite in the state that you saw at the end of last week's stream. As you can see, I've got my smashed up, crashed up plane, and we're on this tiny little island that is in Laythe, in orbit about Jool, and clearly, and we got 4 very well Kerbals, but clearly they're not getting off on their own steam, so that's what this is going to be. It's going to be a rescue mission. Now, just to explain why we're not quite in the same state as you saw at the end of the stream towards the end of last week, or I should say last week towards the end of the stream, get that in the right order, I ended up crashing this plane and it broke up. I'm much the same state as you see here, and I said, now you know what, I'm going to try that again, and I reverted. And when I reverted to my previous quick save, the wings just tore right off the plane and the plane just went into the sea. Again, live Kerbals, and I said, well, you know what, I'll just swim these folks to shore. That turned out to be kind of a real pain in the butt to swim them to shore. So I went into the backup save folder. For those that don't know, there is a backup save folder. There's the save folder for the game, but then inside that there is a backup folder which has even more saves. And I went to one that was more previous to the one where the wings ripped off, where the plane was still flying, and I basically put it down in much the same way as you saw in the stream, and with much the same result of it breaking apart and then being stuck here. So this is going to be a rescue mission, and what we're going to do is we're going to design a whole new ship. This one here is a... Sorry, I'm being distracted because I can see this slowly turning. But anyway, this ship here is a really old design. The basic premise of this design goes all the way back to my Moho landing, and basically much the same thing as this. Landed on Moho, landed on Ilu, landed on Dres, took a lander to 4 of Jool's moons, but when I tried to land it on Laythe, it finally said, "Now, you know what? I'm too old. You're going to have to design something completely 100% new." And yes, NC Davis, I am going to plant the flag there in just a moment. So we're going to design something completely new, fly it out here, rescue these 4, and get them back to Kerbin. At least that's going to be the plan. And this video is going to primarily be a build video. It's the way I kind of envision it. I'm hoping we'll get something into orbit, maybe on its way to Jool, and then I'm thinking next week will be the actual rescue. That's my hope. We'll see how it goes, but as been mentioned in the chat there, yeah, we should plant a flag. We are here. We have live Kerbals. So Brad here, our engineer, who really should get out here and sort of, and because we are in a oxygen-rich atmosphere, we can actually remove his helmet. Brad's going to go out here, plant a flag. We'll update our counter, but it will be updated in pencil is the way I think we have to think about it. Where's plant a flag? Plant a flag. Because, here we go. This is the Jool 1. Landing 5. I should put the landing, actually. Landing. In quotation marks. 5. Help us, please. We need a lift. Okay, so there we go. And we'll update our counter, but this update will be considered just temporary and will not become permanent until we actually switch back here. We actually get our Kerbals safely back to Kerbin. That's why it counts. If that doesn't happen, this is going back to 13, and we're going to have to go with, well, I guess it would be Plan C, because this is Plan A. This video is going to be about Plan B. I really don't want there to be a Plan C. So, okay, in we go. Board, and we are going back to the Space Center, and we're going to do our build. Thank you very much, NC Davis, for the donation. Much appreciated. 13.5 out of 15 says NC Davis. Nice. Maybe I should have done that. We'll keep it at 14 for now. Okay, into the space plane here we're going to go because I'm going to stick with much of the same plan. Laythe is a oxygen-rich atmosphere, which means you can fly a space plane, or you can fly jets in there. I want to take advantage of that, so I want to again take a space plane over, but it's going to be a lot smaller. However, it needs to be able to lift off those 4 Kerbals, and I'm going to send out another crew out there too. So I'm going to have it for a crew of 6. So that's actually pretty simple here. We're going to use the Mark II cockpit, which holds 2, and then we're going to get the, I guess it's under here. There it is, the Mark II crew cabin, which holds 4, and that will be our crew of 6, right? Yeah. Oh, and you know what? And we'll stick with Valentina and Bill for our crew. No more rookies. I really shouldn't say that because Valentina actually only has 1 experience point because the only mission she did was the very, very, very first mission in this series, where you just go up into the atmosphere a little bit and then come back down. So she only got a 1 flying over Kerbin 1. Bill, on the other hand, went all the way to Gilly and landed on Gilly. So Bill's more experienced than Valentina. And if you're wondering where Jeb is, well, Jeb is dead. I killed Jeb. Okay, let's see here. I also want, I think this would be under control. It is not. Oh, it's under pro bodies, I think. I also want this Mark II drone cone. This is nice. This is a set of reaction wheels, but also it is a high-end pro body. So that'll be cool. It'll fly instead of Valentina. And I also want our docking port here. This inline docking port. And then simply the, where is the Mark II bicoupler thingy? There's what I'm looking for right there. That's going to go there on the back, and we are going to put on a pair of the Rapier engines because these engines really do make space planes much. So this is really just a basic thing. Now I want to keep this smaller. I don't want to get into the big giant wings, so I'm going to use the regular delta wing. Just sort of slap them on here generally. Whoops, like this. And we're going to use the, let's see here. This one I'm interested in. It sure is. These are the Type B wings. Really, I think that's largely going to be the whole thing there. We're going to put on some of these. And I'm going to try. Rotating stuff is fun. Okay, there we go. Tuck that in there, and this one. I like these guys that are angled. There we go. That's going to go towards the end. I'm going to move this one also towards the end. I think what I'll do as well is kind of tuck these in just a little bit, just to try and shrink the overall profile of all this. Put those back a little bit so they fit in there. Yeah, we'll tweak everything in a little bit. I also like, where are those wing strakes? That's the big one. I don't want the big one. I want the regular size one. Let's arrange these by mass. I can sometimes find things quicker this way. That's what I'm looking for. Yep. Move this back a little. Again, we'll tweak them again in a little bit. And some rudders. I'm just going to go with this. Put on the snap. Those look straightish. Is it me or are they on an angle? Maybe it's just an illusion. And we'll put a couple of the smaller ailerons on the back. That's the ticket. Like that. And probably move them just a little further apart. And finally, right, we're going to put on some advanced canards. Now I did do, in case people are sort of wondering, I did do a little bit of, let me find my canards and then I'll talk. They should be up towards the top. They're not very heavy. Bump, 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 bump. That's what I'm looking for. I did do a little bit of playing between the two streams, so I have a rough idea of what I want to do. So that way I'm not completely wasting people's time with something that just flat out won't work. So I do know that this is going to work. Now, it is going to need some more fuel than this. So what we're going to do is we're going to put on a Mark 1 fuel can. Yeah. You know, I'll just stick it out here so I can actually, and then we'll move it in a little bit. And I found what worked really well is to take a couple of these Mark 100s, one on each end. And then at the front, because this thing doesn't have any air intakes yet, does need air intakes, put a shock cone. And on the back, we'll just finish off with a couple of simple nose cone. So that will be our propulsion. We'll turn everything white. And in case you're wondering, just in the process, because I'm kind of going into a design that I know is going to work, and how did I go through the process of getting this to be something that worked, is basically I would build something, and then I would fly it and see if it can get itself into orbit, and if not, I would try and figure out, well, what did it run out of? Did it run out of liquid fuel first, or did it run out of oxidizer first? And if it ran out of liquid fuel first, I'd add more liquid fuel. If it ran out of oxidizer first, I'd add more oxidizer. Because these tanks are a mix, like this one here is just liquid fuel, but this one here is both, etc. And until I finally found a mix where, you know, I got into orbit with a few hundred meters per second still left, and with approximately the same amount of liquid fuel and oxidizer left. And I found this sort of configuration of tanks. Actually, I'm not quite there. I also put on 8. I wrote this down. 8 of these Mark 0 tanks. These little ones here. These are just liquid fuel. And I put on 8 of these, and I use these little ones because they're easy to kind of tuck in here. And what I did is I put them there, just like that. And we're going to do 8 of these. So 2, and there, that's 8 of them. And then on each end, just to kind of finish it off, a little small nose cone there. And there. Okay, and does this have a different texture on it? No, that's it. Okay, and I believe, looking at my notes, yeah, I think that was it for fuel. I found that worked really well. I had a lot of thrust. It was able to do. So let's tweak stuff. We're going to tweak stuff. Still no landing gear either. We're going to tuck these guys in. And then move them upwards a little bit. Towards here, get some lines here to match up. And then we'll take these guys too and move them inwards. And then back. We're gonna have to be tweaking TWRs and, aerodynamic lifting surfaces and stuff. Let's put on our landing gear. Now you might recall the big problem with that plane, and if you didn't recall seeing it at the beginning of this stream, the big problem with that was that it kind of broke. And I remember seeing this tip some time ago. I'm going to use the medium landing gear. I'm very used to just sticking them on the wings like that. And I remember seeing a tip a long time ago and then promptly never using it, is don't do this, because this is actually structurally weaker, and I think is really what ended up being the weak link in that plane. It is structurally better to put them onto the fuselage somewhere like that. So these guys are now on the fuselage. Now, of course, we don't want them like this. We're going to find them here. I cannot. I don't think I'm rotating. There's the part. I think maybe I'm rotating the right part. I'm going to rotate them so that they are... Nope. Try again. There we go. Going to rotate them so that they are straight down as best as we can tell. Does that look pretty straight? Hopefully they're pretty straight. Slate doesn't look... I think they need to come more... Ooh. Here, let's put them on again. They seem a little bit too... Sometimes if they seem really there... Oh, this will be perfect. Okay. There we go. That's nice and straight. And then we're going to use the translation tool. These landing gear can get a little flaky. It's this, if you can get them to snap to a straight position, that's better. And we're going to move them out. But the problem is they only go out so far, and then they're going to run out of movability. I can't drag it any further. And I remember this tip, and I can't remember where I saw it. I saw it quite some time ago and then forgot it. And I never knew it at the time that I saw it. Maybe many of you know it. But if I hold the shift key and grab this again, I can keep pulling, and you can pull this as far as you want. But these are still attached to the fuselage, which is much stronger than anything else. And then we can shift them up. Oh boy, I'm getting my... There we go. I don't know why that's being so funny. There we are. And yeah, I think that's looking okay. We'll be doing some tweaking in a little bit, but we can get them basically to wherever we want to go. But these are much stronger than if I just stuck them to the wings in the first place. And finally, I'm going to put on a small landing gear just here at the front, just a single one. And again, we'll tweak that one in just a little bit. Okay, time to, because we are definitely getting something that's looking like a flyable thing, but we got to check where the center of lift, and oh my gosh, that ain't bad. I might just leave that right where it is. The center of lift and center of mass, I think, are pretty good. You always want the center of lift a little bit behind the center of mass. For space planes that go really, really fast, you actually want this even a little bit further still. We'll test it upon flight to see if it's far enough back. I want these landing gear a little bit behind the center of mass. I'll leave that right where it is. So again, we're going to use the little translation tool. Holding the shift key. If I don't hold the shift key, it'll snap back towards... Oh, and I just realized I got to take the snap off. A little bit behind that center of mass. It's pretty good there. Oh, this is clearly way too far forward. Maybe more this way. That looks better. Okay, take the center mass off. And then I finally want this to be sitting on the runway a little nose up, which will help with takeoff. So I just bring it down to the bottom. And I look at the landing gear, and I can see these landing gears are deeper into the texture on the floor than these guys are. So these guys further in the ground, which means this would actually be pitched downwards. So I think what I'm going to do is grab this guy and slide it just a little bit down. I don't want it to look silly. And then grab these guys and slide them just a little bit up. That looks pretty good. So now this one is a little bit more into the ground texture or the floor texture than that is. Okay, let's move this back. Okay. And I'm starting to be pretty happy with this. I'm close to a test flight. I'm going to take these wings, and I'm not 100% convinced this is super important, but I think they look better. Just going to go like so. Is that too far? Yeah, I think so. Oh my gosh. I couldn't even imagine doing this without a mouse and keyboard. Like it must just drive people crazy. There, that looks good. Okay, and off. We'll go off. Okay, back to here. There we go. And again, lift That looks good. Even having the lift a little bit high is good. Okay, let's see. Tweaking control surfaces. Hello there, Elena, and welcome. And... oh, they did move back. Thank you. I'm seeing in the chat, these guys moved back towards the center line. So I'm going to move these again. Put them out. Okay, why? I must be on the wrong thingy. There we go. Put them out here. I like a nice wide base like that. Let's just make sure they're still gonna... this will still sit okay on the runway. I think so. Okay, that can come off, that can come off. Alright, let's... I keep moving the camera and... ah, there we go. Okay. Let's tweak control surfaces. So this I want on pitch. And I'll probably bring this down to like 10 degrees. This guy, actually... no, let's keep it on 10 for now. These guys are for roll. I always find turning the authority limiter down is a good idea. These guys are for yaw. I'll keep... well, no, let's go to 10 again. And these guys at the front are for pitch. And these will also keep it 10. So everything has an authority limiter of 10 degrees. I think that's okay. Playing with action groups. On action group 1, I want to toggle the mode, switch the mode on these from air breathing to closed cycle. And I also want to toggle the intakes. So that means that these intakes will close when we're no longer in air breathing mode. We'll do that obviously during our ascent when we switch from jets to rockets. But I'm thinking I'm going to give this a test fly. This still needs to add some stuff. I got to put on RCS. I got to put on... speaking of which, let's reduce the amount of monopropellant on this thing because it's going to have way too much monopropellant. I wrote a little note to myself. I put on 30 units of monopropellant. That should be fine. Okay, well, we got to put on RCS because this thing's going to need to dock with something. I'm just looking at these front ones. Do they look okay? Little gap there. I'm going to put on some lights. Clearly, we got to have lights. Just tweak them downwards, bit out. Hopefully that won't mess up our... the hatch is still clear? Yeah. Oh, I wanted the strakes. I never rotated the strakes. It's the red one. No, it's not. It's the green one. Oh, for goodness sakes. There. And then we gotta move them up. These are really aesthetic things more than anything. Come on, you had it in the right spot. Right about there. Alright, let's test fly. Does the gap create drag? I don't think so. Oh, I should give this a name. This is the Jool 2. We're going to give it a test fly. So I do want to fly it at least once before we take it out to Laythe. And then there's going to have to be another component to this because clearly this thing's not going to fly to Laythe on its own. We're going to dock it with something that will be the transport vehicle to get it to Laythe. But before we do that, let's see if we can get this into orbit without anything going completely catastrophically wrong. So brakes off and go. There we go, we're off. Alright. Oh, I put on RCS for some reason when I meant to turn off the gear. Okay. And I found that when I did do my test flight with the prototype before this one, the one I was playing with, that it had a lot of thrust. It did not have any problems getting up to pretty good speeds, like about 1,500 meters per second before I had to switch it into closed cycle mode. So we're gonna just go up on a steeper angle than I would with that other plane. I also think it looks better than the other plane. I'm trying to keep the heading here on 90 degrees too. No, let us know, is this small plane going to go to Laythe? Not by itself, it's not. We're going to be docking with something. That's coming. That's going to be the next stage of all of this. Okay, so build speed is still increasing. We're also going to keep track of liquid fuel and oxidizer in particular. Oh, I want to put some RTGs on this. This has no electrical generation, so I got to remember to do that. Yep. Okay, how are we doing for speed? Speed still building at a very nice clip. 10-kilometer altitude. Pitch down a little bit. Can also temporarily take off the SAS and see what she does. I think she's pretty stable. Feels good. Pitch down more. Come on, we're at 15 kilometers. We want to start building that speed up. Get some nice flamey effects happening here. Again, speed really climbing, getting close to 1,200 meters per second. 20 kilometers almost in the altitude. You want to get as much speed as you can before you go into rocket mode. Off here a little bit. 1,400. You can hear the tone in the engine changing, so that's always an indication you're probably close to where you should probably do the switch. Yeah, let's do the switch. So, action group, pitch up. We are now in rocket mode. Reduce throttle too, because I want to keep my apoapsis fairly close by. And once the air gets thinner, this thing will have be able to do a better job of holding. There we go. That's feeling pretty good. It really wants to just pitch forward because of the airstream hitting it, but let's reduce throttle even more. We're almost at 1.5 minutes to our apoapsis. I want to keep that close by. Well, thank you, Benjamin. I'm not sure Benjamin's saying that he loves my stuff. I'm not sure. There are definitely more creative people out there than me. I think when it comes to building, there are people that they have such wonderful design. I think I tend towards simplicity. I get it to work and I'm happy. I just ran out of oxidizer. See what I mean? This is why we test. Wow, I have nowhere near the oxidizer I thought I had, so we're going to revert back and see what I did wrong there. So, going back to the spaceplane hangar, we ran out of oxidizer very early. So I wrote a list of how much of liquid fuel and oxidizer. I wrote it down. Of course, can I find it now? I should have. There it is, 1,120 units of liquid fuel and 880 units of oxidizer. And we got a Kerbal engineer involved. I got way too much liquid fuel and not nearly enough oxidizer. I don't think this should have been a Mark 1 tank. I think that should have been it should have been, yes. Okay, I put the wrong tank there. This is the wrong tank. I was going just by the picture and what it looked like. I have a screenshot of what I was shooting for. I shouldn't have used the Mark 1 fuel tank. I should have used exactly the same size but clearly 2. I should have used that. And once you color it white, it looks the same. So that's why we had too much liquid fuel and... come on, there we go. And not enough oxidizer. Aren't you glad I didn't just say, let's just take this to Mimness and see what happens? Okay, let's again look at the mass, and oh my gosh, that looks... That's because I'm matching a picture. That's why it looks looks reasonably okay. All right, so that's much, much better. Let's do that. Let's look at our numbers here. We got now 1,120 units of liquid fuel and 880. Yes, that's what I have written down, so that's good. And by the way, if you're wondering where these numbers are coming from, this is, I do have Kerbal Engineer installed. One of the very, very few mods that I have installed, and I didn't install it to have that information there. I'm actually deliberately not using Engineer. I want to try and make this series really just stock, but there's something coming up that was supposed to happen last video but didn't, that has to do with returning the Kerbin that I want Engineer for, but I'll wait till then. So that's why I don't have any of the Kerbal Engineer stuff up here. Okay, bump, 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 bump. Let's try this again. We're off. Okay, just waiting to get up to speed here and pitching up, and this is really going to be the exact same profile as before. I'm being asked, how do you know to do things like test the engine missions so you can reach a certain altitude in a specific window and speed and those kind of missions? My answer to that question, John, is I don't do them. I find those part testing missions to be a royal pain. I literally just avoid them. You don't need to do them. There's plenty of other contracts out there that can get you cash and science and reputation. Unless the part testing contest or contract is dirt easy, like, you know, test the launch clamps on the surface or something like that I'm going to be doing anyway in another mission, I don't pick them up. So I'm sorry, I know that's not, but I find those ones, especially the ones that say you got to hit a certain altitude and a certain speed, to be such a pain that I find them personally just not worth it. I forgot to, yes, so there is no electrical generation on this thing. I'm not going to power it with solar panels because it is going to Laythe. We're going to power it with RTGs. But I'll do that once I know it can fly and reach orbit. All of that kind of stuff, that's easy to do after. Same thing, I got to put RCS blocks on this thing. That's the other thing it is. But hopefully this time it will reach orbit without running into oxidizer issues. Okay, pitch down a little bit. The whole idea is building as much speed as you can, and in the thinner atmosphere there's less drag on the plane, but also these engines are less efficient as the air gets thinner, so you can already see they're starting to lose some thrust. But as you pick up speed, the engines become more efficient. So there's a you know, kind of a sweet spot that does change with planes. Different planes will have slightly different profiles. It's pitched down too far. I think I pitched up a little too much, so I'm really coming down now. I want to get this at least up to about 1,400 meters per second before we go into closed cycle. There we go. Again, I got that change in pitch in the engines. I'm gonna punch it. There we go. So closed cycle mode, pitch up. Again, I gotta kind of fight with it a little bit until the air thins out a little. More reaction wheels would probably fix that issue, but it's a small issue. Altitude higher, so we're more approximating a rocket rather than a plane. Oh, whoa, 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 whoa. I'm not. I should be reducing throttle too. Didn't do that. Silly, silly Billy. Try and do a more efficient ascent when I do this for real. For real. I mean, it is a game. Okay. Oh, I'm already over. Oh my god, this is terrible. I'm already over. I just cut my throttle because I'm already well over 80 kilometers on my apoapsis. So, this isn't the bestest of ascents. Time warping up to apoapsis. Because I wasn't paying attention to my numbers down here. Okay, we're in space. And turn the volume up just a little bit. Oh yeah, have it a little quiet. Put her down to the horizon and we'll just get ready. Yeah, let's start increasing that throttle. Pay more attention when I do it out of test mode. This is still considered test mode. This isn't... If this is successful, all I'm saying is I'm just going to kind of keep it this... You know, I'm going to revert back to the Spaceplane Hangar, finish this off, and then we'll get to building our transfer vehicle. Again, all this thing has to do is get itself to orbit. And everything will be fine. So we're not asking a lot of you. And if it can get itself into orbit about Kerbin, it can get itself into orbit about Laythe. Laythe is smaller than Kerbin is. Alright, it's close enough. Sloppy orbit. Oh, only 57 meters per second. I'll try and do a better insert, but I think it's good. I'm going to revert back. It works. Back to the Spaceplane Hangar. We'll kit this out a little bit and we'll get going on our... Okay, so RCS. Need some RCS blocks. So, should I use the big ones or the little ones? These are the little ones. These are a little too little? Maybe use the big ones. I think I'm going to use the big ones. So, we'll put some out here at the wings tips. And we'll put some more. Where's that center mass? I'm just going to kind of here, more out this way. Sure. And out here. This thing I didn't plan, the RCS placement. I'm just kind of going with it. It's nice to get them equally spaced on either side of the center of mass or thereabouts, but the reaction wheels are very, very forgiving. So let's see, I got dorsal ventral thrust, I got forward and aft thrust, I need starboardy thrust. Wait a minute, can I just not? Don't I have a 5-way? There you go. Use those fellas. I might just do this. That should be fine. I don't see why that won't work. Got all our directions going. Yeah. No reason to make it more complicated than it needs to be. I'm just going to go with that. Okay, so RCS is taken care of. I've tweaked down the monopropellant. That should be good. Okay, lights. Oh my god. Oh, power. Let's get into power before. So all I'm going to do is put on a couple of RTGs. I mean, it doesn't need much. The only thing that's really using up power is the reaction wheels and then the lights once we put on. It's not going to be that. Electricity. RTGs. Where are you? There they are. It's just blind. And I'm just going to tuck them back here. Like, there. That's the end of that. There we go. So that's going to deal with the power needs for this thing. Do I have other things? Oh, lights! For goodness sakes, you got the guts to have lights. I get people complaining that, why do you put on so many lights? And I'm like, well, I mean, why? Of course you can put on lights. Gotta have lights. Okay. Make sure that's sort of in there okay. Oh, a little this way. Now come out. Maybe tilt it just a little this way so that the light won't be clipping into, there we go. So the light doesn't clip into the texture there a little bit. This is the starboard side, so you are going to be green. You are also going to blink, and then on the other side, remove the symmetry, and you're going to be red. Okay, and we're going to get another pair of lights. We're going to put them right behind there, just right on the same zone. I like to tuck them in a little bit so it looks kind of like a double light. Okay, a little more this way. I think that'll work. And these guys are going to be white, and they're going to blink at a quicker rate, like a little white strobe light. Blink on. I also want white strobe lights up here. Oops. There we go. Straighten that out. Probably have to pull them up out of the texture here a little bit. A little bit back. Same dealy. White. And quicker blink period, and let's copy that and put another one, if I can let me. This is okay. It's gonna have to need some major translations here. Up, back, up, tilt. Find if I adjust this one, but look at the one on the right. Tuck them into the other one. And I think I got to come down a little bit. There we go. That's good. So we got strobe lights there, strobe lights there. Take the center of mass off. Is this from a mod, the lights? Absolutely not. They're stock. They are stock. Okay, lights on the bottom. So a single symmetry now. Some dorsal lights here. Again, this one I want white, so it sort of matches the fuselage a little bit. White and blinky. Maybe move it. I find if the light is a little bit too much into the texture, instead of the light reflecting off the texture, it kind of lights up the texture, which is very distracting. Looks terrible. Okay, we'll copy that. Spin around. Spin it around the right way. That way. There we go. And we will tuck you in a little better. Oh, I also need a ladder for the Kerbals to get in and out. We will definitely need that. There we go. And this one, rather than be white in blinky, will be amber in blinky. We'll tweak it just a little bit more into the orange, so it's less yellow and more amber, and change that light period a little bit. Should still be blinking. Blink on. Blink that one on. Okay. All right, and then finally, you need to have red ones or colored lights at the front too. Oh, I should have put that. Didn't have that on two-way symmetry. One on each side, of course. Well, I think that's going to be fine. Okay, and this is the port side, so it's going to be red. It does not blink. And this one on the starboard side, remove the symmetry, and it's going to be green. And finally, sorry, one more. Single symmetry. Snap on. This is a blue light. I'm going to blink slowly to say, Kerbals, this is where you get in and out. Oh, and now I'm looking, that RCS block is so in the wrong spot. Shoot. Okay. And a ladder. I think a small ladder should do it. I am going to test the egress. Make sure that they can get in and out. Don't want to find out they can't get in and out once they're... There we go. Okay, how are we going to power the craft? The craft is powered by RTGs here at the back. All right, I'm thinking. Oh, somehow the center of lift has moved. That's okay. I don't want it quite... Either that or the center of mass has moved. Let's... If I just move these guys forward just a little. There we go. That was not a very big tweak. There we go. Okay, one last test. This is just going to be the test. Whether they can get in and out. Okay, so we're just going to put the brakes on. Extend this ladder. Make sure, hopefully, well, Valentina, you can get in. Honestly, if they can just, like, they might stand up here and then fall in. Oh, wait, sort of. That worked. Okay, and now, Valentina, can you get back? That is the question. Up we go. Are you going to hit your head there? Climb out. Oh, she did it. Board. Why won't she board? Board. A little high. Okay. We're all good. You can see all the lights work. Gotta have them blinking. Okay, we're done. We're done with this. Back to the spaceplane hangar. Oh, where do I talk about setting up action groups? I have an older tutorial video that does talk about it. I honestly don't know the name. I don't have a video dedicated to it. It's just something that came up, you know, in another video. So sorry, I can't remember the name. I know it's out there somewhere. I'll try and, if you send me like an actual comment, it will remind me to, and I'll find it and send you the link. Okay, so what we need to do now is attach another craft to this that will go up independently that we're going to dock with. Now, unfortunately, with this style of docking port, there's no node there. Like I'll show you if I get my Clampatron, that's the junior. If I get my Clampatron and try, it won't let me stick it on there. See that? So what we're going to do, just for building purposes, we'll remove this later, is I'm just going to put a cubic octagonal strut just to get a node up here. And I want this to be right in the center. And we'll just have to make sure that we do remove this. Okay, I'm pretty sure that's good enough. And then I now have a node there. So I can now put a... And again, this is just for building purposes, so I can design this top one before we fly. We will... So this is where it's going to dock. Going to dock right there. Okay. And here's the thing. When this thing gets up into orbit, it's going to be largely out of fuel and oxidizer. So what I want to do is, number one, is have the fuel and oxidizer aboard that this thing is going to need. So what I'm going to do is just put on one of these fellas. And again, I do have a picture of what I'm shooting for because I played around with this a little bit. Yeah. And we're going to slide that back. Up here, and again, center this. This is really important for it to be centered on that docking port. This way. That looks pretty good. And we're going to want my other craft. I mean, it worked, but I kind of wished it had more reaction wheels. So we're going to double up the reaction wheels, and then we're going to put on another one of these, what are they, the T800 tanks. And again, I made myself a list, and I can't find my own writing. 2 of the T800s, and a single Mark I tank. And this, together, you know, we can find out pretty quick. If I drain these guys, this has the same amount of fuel as what the plane has. So this is the reserve that the plane is going to use in its landing, because it's going to use up its own fuel when it gets off of Kerbin, and then it's going to need to refuel so it can go down the Laythe and get back up again. So I'm just, I think that's, yeah. Did I take out everything? Boop, boop. Oh no, these ones. Okay. And this should now have, let me check, 1,120 units of liquid fuel and 880 units of oxidizer. It does. Excellent, excellent, excellent. Okay, let's switch vehicles. Or did I save? I didn't even realize if I saved or not. Maybe I should just really quick. Oh boy. I'm suddenly unsure. It won't let me just select. Nope, that's not going to work. Oh, I'm going to assume I saved my... You know what I'm going to do? I'm all of a sudden not sure if I saved the space plane before I... So what I'm going to do is I'm going to save this now as a Jool 2 temp. Save this. And then open up my Jool 2. Please tell me, is this saved with all the lights and the ladder was the last thing I did? It is. Okay, we're cool. Let's bring back up our Jool 2 temp. Note that. Okay, and we're going to take this into, whoops, push the wrong button, into vehicle assembly building. There we go. All right, so now what we need to do, I'm going to change the, ooh, I know what I want to do. I want to give this its own probe body. No, probe body's up here. I think this one? No, that's the big one. This one, yeah. There we go. This way I make sure the probe body is pointing upwards. That would be bad. Okay, we'll retract these. Okay, so what we need now is to build a vehicle around this that can get itself to Laythe. And then undock the space plane. You can, I think you get the idea of what we're going to do. So what I got is my idea. Okay, we're gonna put on a monoprop reserve up here at the top. That's the small one. I want the one that fits that. Yep. Put on some batteries. A battery reserve. And actually, while I'm thinking about it, why not just a couple more RTGs? They don't take much weight, and if all of a sudden I don't have enough electricity, I will be regretting it. They look funny like that, so I'm just gonna pull them out of the texture a little bit. That's fine. Okay, and I wanted to give these folks a little bit of extra living space. You know, technically, you know, in this game, you can just send them in this, but I'm going to put on a hitchhiker can here. So that is this one. Yep. And then a hitchhiker can. And we can pretend this is their living space and it has all the necessary life supports and all of that kind of thing on it. Let's get back to structure. We're going to put on another one of these on the top. And on the top of that, we're going to put another docking port. A regular one. There we go. Because in orbit around Laythe is the vessel that brought that crashed space plane to Laythe. And, you know, I kind of want to take advantage of that, right? I want to dock with that. It has a ton of fuel, and we're gonna fuel this thing back up when we get to Laythe. Okay, so now comes my grand plan of how we're gonna do this. So I'm gonna put, first of all, I'm gonna turn off all of this fuel because I don't want this fuel counted in the calculations because this is reserve fuel for the space plane. Where's it getting this delta V from? That's off. That's off. That's off. Very weird. Oh, I want these empty. Because this will be the way it'll transport up. Somehow they got filled up again. Okay. Cool, cool. I want all these empty. There's still, I can tell because there's delta V, there's still fuel in here somewhere. Here we are. There we go. Okay. All right. So what is here's my plan. I'm going to take a nerve engine. We're going to plunk it on the bottom of this. Then I'm going to grab, because I want to have kind of engines around the, most of the mass right now is on the plane. So I'm going to need to have engines kind of around it, if you know what I mean, so that I can balance the thrust. But the plane needs to be able to get in and out to dock. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to take these girder pieces here. Well, I want 2 of them. There we go. Like that. So that gives me a little bit of width out. And then on the end of this, we're going to load her up with these Mark 1 cans. So we're going to build sort of these kind of radial side thingies. Maybe tuck it in a little bit like that. Okay, and then this, I can rotate these inwards towards the plane to kind of get engines out here and engines around here and here. And then that should, in theory, allow me to balance the thrust when I'm working on just the nerves. So I'm going to just put on these to get this down to about the same. We're going to put nerves down on the end of this. There we go. And let's see, what's our delta V at? Is this on vacuum? Certainly not. There we go. And what I need this to get up to is, I got a budget of about 3,600 meters per second to get into Laythe orbit. I think that should be fairly generous. And I want to get this probably a little higher than that. So I'm going to shoot for, where did I just pull that guy from? I'm going to shoot for about 4 kilometers per second at delta V. So we're going to put that there. We're at 3176. Thrust to weight of 0.31, which is fine. My rocket that went to Laythe that's there right now is like a thrust to weight of like less than half of that. There we go. We're over 4,000 meters per second of delta V. We're going to clean this up a little bit. 0.27 thrust to weight ratio. That should be fine. Yeah, let's try and see if we can make this a little cleaner. So I want all these engines to be at about the same. Here, I know how I can do this. Oh, let's turn the root part to this probe body right here. Nice. Yeah. So just going to go down. Get them all about the same. That's an aesthetic thing. I don't have to do this, but. And then what we're going to do is grab these fellas and just kind of roll them inwards. It's going to take some... Whoa, whoa, oh, shoot. I know what I did wrong. Control Z. I need this. I need them both to roll inwards, right? They rolled, if you saw that, they rolled like that. That's because I'm on symmetry mode. I need to be like on these... What do you call these two modes? The push R, radial symmetry, and whatever the other one is. Oh, I'm keep that off. I want it on this symmetry. That's the mirror symmetry thing. Hey, I knew it would come to me. So I'm gonna take that off. I'm gonna put it back on again. And now when I roll this, rotate this, I should be. See? There's what I'm looking for. So that's the idea. So I have engines out here, engines here, the planes in the middle. I might have to tweak the thrust limiters on these engines to get the thrust to be balanced. I might even have to do it partway through the mission as fuel drains. But I think, and there's enough room for the plane to get in and out, I think that works. It's going to need some strutting. Try and stiffen this up a bit. But I think it's going to work. Okay, just going to... Don't like the joint right there. Maybe in a little bit. And I really need to make sure that those wingtips will clear. Maybe come out a little more here too. I think I can sneak in there. Okay. Boom, 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 boom. Okay. Yeah. We'll give this a go. We'll give this a test. We can look even at the. Oh, all the engines here are clustered together. We want the nerve engines on their own. There we go. And we can look at the thrust limiter. Let's turn this thrust off, because we don't want to worry about these at all. There we go. And as long as that thrust limiter is close to the center of mass, see, we're going to make this work. We're going to make this work. And also the reaction wheels are generous. Okay, well here. Should do a test. Okay, let's clean some things up and strut some things up before we give this a test fly. So we'll put some nose cones on the top of this. Of course, the fun thing is going to be getting this into orbit. But that's going to be a different problem. One problem at a time. Well, the intakes clip through the... Oh, thank you for spotting that. Yes, the intakes are clipping, so we'll fix that. Thank you. Somebody spotted that. See how the intakes clip? That would have been not fun when it came to docking, but that's at least easy to rectify right now. We're going to slide these guys up so that those intakes will clear. Is anything else clipping there? It's got to actually go between the intakes and the canards at the front there. So we got to leave a space for it to fit on either side of that. That'll do it. And then we'll get those engines again. Oops. Get that thrust out of the way and the mass out of the way. I don't want to see that. Oh shoot, I didn't mean to do that. Control Z. Okay, I want the move tool. Then we can slide these down till they just there. There we go. Thank you for spotting that the air intakes were clipping. I think now everything is in the clear. Looks good, looks good, looks good, look good. Okay. Struts. I think strutting on this will be important. So those will fit there. Yep, that works. And every strut I put on, I got to make sure that I really want to make sure that the plane itself is not affected by the struts. I think the struts are physical. Well, maybe they're not. I don't know. And then maybe some struts up this way towards the hitchhiker can. I might just move these ones. Make more of a triangle out of them. Like that. Okay, and I think everything is fitting, nothing is clipping. I think it's good. Okay, so here's what we're going to do. We're going to launch this thing and put it, cheat menu it into orbit. And just work on balancing thrust. That's all we're doing. Okay, so Alt Tab, or Alt F12, I'm sorry. Go into the cheat menu, set in orbit. Yeah, it really doesn't matter, the altitude. And all I want to do, put the lights on, SAS on, is see if I can adjust the thrust, see if it holds a vector. And if it holds a vector, everything I think is good. If it doesn't hold a vector, then we'll have to do some thrust adjusting. I like it. It's goofy. Going to be real close with the wing. Everybody's got, you think their wingtips? I think it's going to clear through there. You know what we can do too? We'll do a test. Actually, it can't detach right now because of the we'll do a test of the docking. I can't detach it right now because it's got that cubic octagonal strut between the two of them. But I should do a test of the docking system. Okay. So this looks okay. So what we're going to do is activate those nerve engines. And we're just going to just increase thrust. And if you're looking here, you can see it is holding the vector. There's a bit of a wobble going on. I'm not 100% sure why it is wobbling back and forth, but it is holding onto the vector. And in fact, if we ignore the roll thing, it's rolling back and forth being stupid. But look at the pitch indicator and notice that it isn't far off of the center. So that shows that it is pitching down just a little bit to keep it on here, but it can handle it. The reaction wheels are handling it. I don't think I even need to adjust thrust. Yeah, we're off. I think this is going to work. Misa happy. Misa happy indeed. Okay, I'm going to cut this. I'm going to go revert back to vehicle assembly building. Looks like the USS Enterprise. I'm going to take that as a compliment, says James. Should color these guys, like get some blue in there or something. Make them look like warp engines. Okay, yeah. I'm just sort of looking at my, I think, reaction. Oh, an antenna. It needs an antenna. So why I write these things down. Communications. And we're going to use this big relay antenna so that it can communicate. Put it just in the middle. Oh, wait. You know what else it needs? No, it's got a docking port at the front. I think just... You know what? No, I know where I'm going to put it up here, because this is going to be needing to get covered by a nose cone at some point, or a fairing at some point. And the closer I have it up to the top, I will be able, should hopefully be able to get a fairing around all this. This is going to be fun building a booster to get this into orbit. But hey, well, silly boosters is what KSP is all about. Okay, I got communication, antenna, hitchhiker. I put RCS. I think. And we're at, what is our, just under 399 meters per second, or 3,994 meters per second at delta V. I think that should be enough to get me to Laythe, I think. Okay, let's light this. Lights. We need lights. Let me get these strip lights. I'll put the strip lights. Again, put it on the mirror symmetry. Pull that out just a little bit so it's not in the textures itself. We come down. No, I don't know, maybe about there. So the idea of these lights is that it attractively, let's see, if I turn them on, it lights up down there. That's all. Let's get another pair and sort of match them, matching pair up here. Again, just pull them out of the texture. And that will light up that part. The lights. And we're going to put a circlet. Let's go with just four-way symmetry of just red lights the back. I don't know why I like doing that, but I just do. And again, I'm going to try and remember to pull them out of the texture so it doesn't light up the whole texture, which looks funny. Put a pair of blue lights up here by the door. Is there a door on both sides? There isn't. Okay. So that, flip them that way. Just like so. Again, white, blue lights. Put the blink on. So, oops, that's what I want. Out of the textures just a little bit. So the Kerbals know where the door is. Sure. Color these white. It needs to have a red and a green light by this front docking port, that's for sure. Okay, which way? This is dorsal. This is up. So this is port on this side. Red. Blink on. Remove symmetry. And green. I think I got that right. Yep. I don't know. Maybe I might calm this thing down. Just leave it like that. Maybe a blinky light on the top. That's it. So, blinky light. Blink on. pull them out of the textures again, just a little bit. Okay. All right. Looking at that antenna, don't like the way that is. This is again aesthetical. Should I just pull that in? Is that going to be okay? Or I can get, no, you know what, that's fine. And that gets it a little closer too. I think that's probably not a bad idea. Okay, so I am thinking this is our, here, I'm gonna rename this. This is Jool 2 command. This will not fly up with the space plane on it. That's going separately. So we're going to take that space plane off. We're going to throw that away. This is going to be our chance now to put up our take away that. Okay, and you know what? I'm going to right now. Yes, right now we're going to test the docking, make sure the docking works okay, because the last thing I want is to find out, get this thing all into orbit and find out it's not going to dock, and then we're going to launch these things. We're going to get them going. I still got to build a booster for this. Look at this thing. It's just goofy. Goofy. Goofies, I tell you. Okay, there we go. I'll just leave it just the way it is. Turn the lights on. Nice. Okay, and now we're going to go back to the Space Center. This is, again, all temporarily. We'll revert all this stuff. Because we got to launch this stuff for real. Go into the spaceplane hangar. And we're going to bring out our Jool 2. And we're going to launch you. And we're going to test dock this. So like I said, this is going to be largely a build episode. We're rendezvousing with Jool 2 command, that's right. And let's get ourselves, I don't know, 25 meters away from it. Rendezvous. How close are we? Gear. Okay, open up the docking port. Okay, and lights on, and we're gonna make this work easy. We just want to get this to work. So we're gonna control from here. We're gonna set this docking port as a target. We're going to aim this at that target. Like that. And we're going to go to this guy. We're going to control this one from here. This is the easiest way. It almost, like, it's not as fun, I think, to dock this way, but it definitely is the easiest way. And then we'll set this guy on the target. So that way the two docking ports are pointed straight at each other. And we'll even roll this one so that everything's aligned and stuff. Oh, rolling back, it's over torqued. You can see a red blinky light here, and I think it's all the way from the top. I don't know where that's coming from. Because this guy isn't blinking. Oh, weird. It's all good. Oh, I should also test to see, because I didn't even think. Okay, here we go. So R and H. There we go. We'll put these two together. You can see that thing wobbling back and forth. Don't wobble like that. Oh, I should tweak this RCS so that it's not doing that. So the big thing is, will everything clear as we come in here? I think the wingtips are well clear. Slow down. Go a little quick. Fortunately, everything's kind of wobbling a little bit on the other. But that's okay. We'll make it work. Trying to match the wobble as best I can. Oh, we're off course. Oh dear, oh dear, oh dear. Oh, that's because this isn't locked on here anymore. Well done, sir. Okay. That didn't help. Oh, that was a feeble docking. Get that all locked back on again. Okay, back to here. There. Try again. Try that again. Well, it wasn't even a dock. It was feeble and a non-docking. I'm getting a comment that feeble docking's still a dock, but it was a feeble non-dock. But it's because I thought it was still locked onto the target, so I really wasn't even watching that part of it. I was just watching to see if stuff cleared and everything. Now it seems to be working much better. Come on, dock. There, we're docked. Okay, so everything's in there fine, I think. I think it's even lined up pretty good. What I want to do is now control from here and just make sure that when we thrust, because before this was connected with a cubic octagonal strut, now it's just connected with the docking ports. You know what I could do? If this is wobbly here, I can get Bill out, put on some, that's a good idea. I think I will do that. Get Bill out and strut the plane once we're docked to it. So this is really good and stiff. But I'm just going to put on these engines here. Activate that engine. Activate those engines. This one too. Activate that engine. There we go. Is this still going to work for me? It's still working. We're good. All right. Revert flight back to the spaceplane hangar. What's the key binding for switching between crafts? It is the square bracket keys. That is the key binding. Okay, while I'm on this, show actuation toggles. Turn off yaw, pitch, and roll. I don't like the RCS when they come on with that. That's off. Show actuation. That saves on monopropellant if you turn those off. Because the reaction wheels can do the yaw, pitch, and the roll. Okay, saving that. Now, unfortunately, it has me a feeling that the command vessel is still up there. And I bet you anything I can't revert to it. We'll find out very quickly. Would it be a probe? Oh, maybe not. Jool command debris. What the heck is... Oh, that's Jool 1. Do I have anything called Jool 2? I don't think I do. So I think the whole thing went back. Okay. Oh, I lied. There it is. Jool 2 command. Okay. So, launch. Ah, yeah, because of the hitchhiker, it considers this a crewed, like, spacecraft, not a plane. And I bet you anything I can't revert this now. No, I can't. So, you know what we're going to do? Not to cheat, because I don't want anyone to accuse me of saying I got this thing up here unnaturally. We're going to deorbit it. And yeah, that throws away a ton of money, but like whatever. I don't know. Like how much money do I have on this game? Where's my money? I don't even know where it is here anymore. I don't know where anything is. Did they take away the money toggle? Whatever. There we go. We're going to deorbit this guy. That's, yeah. Weird. Okay. I don't have the... Show me how much money I got. I always thought that was there. Okay. Oh, there we go. So yeah, we're throwing away the cost of this, but like, whatever. I got so much money, it doesn't matter. Okay. Done. Now I'm going back to the Space Center. Oh, I'm sorry. I see Norman getting exciting. This should be cool. I'm just going to let it die off screen. I'm so sorry. So I really want to get it into orbit. I want to get this craft up there and going before I get any further ahead in this. So yeah, we could have watched it all crash. So sorry about that, normal human. I call you Norman, I think. You're normal. Okay. Jool 2 command. There it is. This is the guy. So this fella, this lovely fella, needs to get itself into orbit. So what I'm going to do, let's start off by covering up this top as best we can. So I'm going to use the upside down fairing trick. And we're going to try and see... Oh, enclosing this is not going to be pretty. Might have to go to the bigger fairing. I think I do. Oh my gosh, okay. So the 3.75 meter fairing. Does it want to... Yeah, I can just come straight. I want to enclose this. Oh, this is one... Oh, it's not going to let me do it because of the girders. Oh, okay. Oh boy, oh boy. There's what I didn't think about. Okay, just... I need to rethink this antenna placement. Poop. Poop, 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 and poop. Okay, because I can't get the fairing past these girders. I could. This'll work. This'll work. This is a whole new plan. Whole new plan. Get that 2.5 meter fairing back. Don't build that. Do interstage nodes. This ain't gonna be pretty. Snap that right there. That goes there. Oh, it's underneath it. There. And there's our docking port back. And now... Whatever. I'm going to keep the truss structure. But now I can build this, right? And it doesn't even look... It doesn't look too terrible up there. Okay, build... What am I doing here? I'm putting up the number of sides, putting up the ejection force, and putting on clamshell. Okay. Alright. Still nowhere near to getting this thing into orbit. So I'm going to... We're going to just put a bunch of radial boosters around this thing and then just kind of work around these guys that are out here on the side. I think it's just the way this is going to work. Of course, the center of mass is like there. That doesn't help, does it? Okay. All right. Let's see. Let's start with a pair of these radial boosters or radial decouplers around here-ish. This, because of where the center of mass is, I know, a better idea. this radial, no, just the short radial, these ones, the manifold one. There. Yeah, so I got one on each side. I need this one to be as close as possible. And then to get this one to move outwards, put on this, I guess. But only one of these. So only on this side. So the idea here is we're going to build it so that this booster is out here-ish. Maybe the long one is the better idea. Yeah, some struts. Just for giggles for now, let's put on just a fuel tank here. And a fuel tank here. We're going to be really dependent on reaction wheels. Are those? We'll see. So I want the thrust of these two engines to be balancing that, and then we'll build off of these. It's gonna be fun. Let's put a couple of skippers on the bottom here. Oh, it's not gonna let me do two-way symmetry. Okay, so there are my two skippers. That's about 1,000. I like the thrust for the upper part of the orbital insertion. I kind of like this. 1,038 meters per second, and thrust away to 1.14. Let's just finish off these boosters. Might go with these. I love these. I love these slanty guys. Well, that, and then a slanty nose cone on the top. And then we'll grab that. Like that. I think that'll work. So this will be just the upper part of the insertion. I do think I'll put some Sepratron. I do think I need some struts on this fella. In fact, I don't think there's a think about it. I think, like, come on, I need some struts. So we're gonna strut this across just to here. I think the other one's okay. Hopefully that'll be enough. Okay, so what we're gonna do, is temporarily, again, this is just a test of thrust balancing. So we're going to temporarily, once again, just put this thing into orbit. We're going to fire up those engines and make sure that, ooh, this is getting wonkier and wonkier. And make sure that it can hold a vector. That's it. So if this thing were under thrust, it's able to hold a vector. We'll put on lots of. Oh, I do like it. And then we'll test the coupler too at the same time. Might as well do that. Make sure that works. So we'll let this find its vector. We'll fire up those engines. There we go. Then we'll just slowly increase the throttle and make sure that it's balanced. And if not, we'll do some adjusting. No, it wants to go. Okay, I can see that. So there's too much thrust at this end. So that means this needs to be closer, or this one needs to be further out. Okay. Flight vehicle assembly building. Of course, another solution. Another solution. Maybe a combination of both of these solutions, but another way of dealing with more of unbalanced thrust is more reaction wheels. An unrealistic amount of counter torque. I think I need this booster here though to be further out. So what we're gonna do is put on one of these fellas. And I think once I get this working right, I think the rest of this should go okay. I'll put you back. This really needs to be centered on there. Looks okay. I'm just thinking these struts here would honestly probably be better off going there. Hold that steady. Okay. Okay, save that. Again, test launch. What's the point of the reaction wheels? The reaction wheels are a way of controlling the attitude of the spacecraft, which is the way that the spacecraft points. The more reaction wheels you have, the easier it is to get the spacecraft to turn. Like, for instance, when I say lock to prograde, it's the reaction wheels that are now turning this vessel and getting it pointing the way I want it to go. The more reaction wheels that you have, the more force you have of turning, and the more it will be able to counterbalance any unbalanced thrust situations. So that's the point of the reaction wheels. We're going to test decoupling too once this is okay. So again, engines start throttling up. Please hold that vector. Please hold that vector. Please hold that vector. It's doing it. You can see again the pitch. You can look at the pitch indicator to see how much it's fighting. I think I can come out. Which way does it want to go? It's holding it. I think it's okay. I think it's good enough. Which way does it want to go? If I turn off SAS, it'll tell me which way it's unbalanced. So if I turn off SAS, yeah, it's still too much thrust on that side. But I don't want to pull this out any further than it already is. Well, I don't know. Why not? Why not? Why not indeed? Okay, let's cut this. Let's test decoupling and see how that works. I'm more than happy with that. Fine. That'll work fine. Okay, revert flight. Try reducing thrusts on one of the engines. That is a great idea, Mark. You can do that. You can balance the thrust by like, oh, okay, if this one's got too much thrust, just turn the thrust limiter down. But then it's going to drain this tank more slowly than this tank. And I can deal with that by putting more tanks on here to get them. But that's way, way too much thinking for me. So I want to keep the thrust limiter the same on them so I can guarantee that they'll both run dry at the same time, or else I'm into even bigger problems than I had before. Okay, so we're going to put on this long fella. I was going to say like, oh, I don't know how far out I want to go, but honestly, if I strut it enough, I don't really see why this is going to be a problem. Now, it wasn't bad. Might just leave it too, but we'll just see if getting this out. But once this is balanced, then I can put boosters balanced on either of these two, and I think the rest of it will go easier. This is going to be a goofy thing flying, though, I'll tell you that. Okay, oh, struts, I can see. Struts didn't come. Struts came apart. There we go. Save and launch. Okay, I'm hoping this is the last of these little testers. Then we're going to try and launch this thing. So again, sorry that this is a whole build. Maybe people like the builds. I don't know. Next video will be a lot more flying. A lot more flying. Once I got this all working, oh, we're going to be off. I tells you. Tells you. Okay, so here we go. Lock it again to prograde. Fire up those engines. Oh, I don't know if I need to test the staging anymore. That seemed to work just fine. Oh, I like it though. I like it. Oh, I'm on the normal vector. That doesn't matter. That doesn't matter. Okay, so throttling up. Oh, now it's too much the other way. Too much the other way. See that? Okay. Escape. It's worse than it was before. But honestly, that's easier to fix. That is easier to fix because all I got to do is get this translate tool and slide this in. This is going to be easier now if I just keep translating that back and forth until I get the thrust balanced. Okay. Normal says he'd rather watch builds than me fiddling with maneuver nodes. I can't blame you on that one. Sometimes you can spend a lot of time just fiddling with maneuver nodes. Okay, here. I'm not even gonna bother locking. I'm just gonna keep the SAS on. That should be, there's no reason for me to. Okay, here we go. Oh, look at that! Look at that! Oh yes! Oh yes! Look at that. I mean, it's a little bit off here. You can see it, the pitch. But it's holding it absolutely fine. We are pointing, we're on a descent here, but okay, I'm done with that part. Done with that part. Okay. Boomity boomity boom. Nailed it. Yeah. Okay, it's balanced enough. So, I am, let's slide these down a little bit on the boosters. Like that. And same with you. We'll get it again so that the two engine bells are reasonably close. They look like they're about right. Okay. And I don't think I'm gonna touch this. Maybe there are textures. No, we'll go back to that. Okay. Oh, you know what? They need to be orange, don't they? That's it. This one needs to be orange. All right, so that is that. So this gives us, let's get into our, and get that's right. Let's fix the staging up. Actually, the fairing, I'm sure, will come before we stage those. So that's 1,389 meters per second at delta V. Now I need to add on some nice bigger boosters to, you know, get this higher. So we're going to go bigger now. So what I think I shall do, get those decouplers. This time I think I will go with these longer decouplers. Okay, how big? What if I went with, like, I think this might be the best plan. So I got one there, one there. One there, one there. And then just booster out, like with until I'm big enough that we'll be lifting this thing up. That's the whole plan. Let's start with our old friends, the twin bore boosters, because these guys can lift. They're not the biggest. I do have those three. I do have 3.5 meter parts, but this is a good start. This might be enough. Might be overkill, to be honest. We're going to have all engines going on at the same time. And we're going to asparagus stage this up. We'll see how much delta V that is, how much thrust that is. This might be overkill. Okay, are those all hooked up right? I wonder why it went that. Okay, I'm not going to worry about it. So on the thrust front, you know what I should do is just turn the thrust off of these so that they're not being counted in the delta V or in the delta V calculations. There we go. So I got 3,183 meters per second. I got a boatload of thrust here on the bottom, like way more than I need. So I honestly think these guys are overkill. We're going to lose those. We're going to go a little smaller. We're going to go with, let's try the jumbos on here. Like that. And like that. And we'll go with, let's see here. Those were this guy with its 2,000 kilonewtons of thrust. Let's go with, well, will mainsails be a good? You want to use the smallest engine you can to get you the thrust you need. That's still more thrust than I need, so let's step this down to more of these skipper engines. 6 skippers? 1.48? Ooh, it's a little on the low side. A little on the low. Yeah, let's go back to the mainsails, because I'm going to need to add more fuel to this. I think the mainsails is going to serve us nicely. Mainsails. I mean, I could go like the big old mammoths on the bottom, but I don't need them, so I'm not going to. Alright, so there we go. We got the thrust we need for sure. We do not have the Delta V, but that is now that we have the thrust, that's easy to fix. That's just more tanks. More tanks. That's more than enough. Now I'm at 3654 meters per second of Delta V. I'm going to go a little smaller. Oh, wait. For goodness sakes, I don't have the asparagus staging even set up yet. Were people pointing that out? That'll save me Delta V. Set up that asparagus staging. It's weird. On this side... Here, let's put this on radial. I think that's why it's doing that. Radial. Still does it that way. But then on this side... Oh. Oh, I'm doing it the wrong way. That doesn't help. It goes that way. I am so confused. Okay, whatever. What does that give? I'm at 32.55, so that's a lot. That's a lot. What's the thrust on this stage? 1.18. That's perfect. I like that. So let's... Boomity boom. Let's go with these fellas. Oh, those are big. Let me get into the right group of them. These fellas. That's what I was trying to get. 37, that's too much. Might just go with... I don't know if I need that much more. And then if I went with those angly, those lovely angly tanks. $35.42. Let's go a little bigger. A little bigger, but I think we're closing in on this. Bump. Let's go with these. Those, these. And that is a total of 37.13, which is like stupid amount of but that's fine. We can go with stupid. It's way more than we need, but you know what? It's time to get this done. There. There. Of course, this is the moment where people are supposed to go and place their bets. Place your bets. Will it fly? Not done yet, so don't judge me yet. Let me get some more attachments on. We're probably gonna put some, because I don't even want to think about where the center of lift. Oh, look at where that guy went. Okay, that's weird. Remove the symmetry on this. And turn that way. Everything pointing nicely that way. There we go. We got the thrust we need. That's all that matters right at this moment. And so Separatrons, because these guys are all gonna, these four are all gonna come off at the same time. That's gonna be a thing. Oh, fine, just leave it. Oh, whatever. I'm gonna stop. Oh wait, these aren't the same. Is that coming up in the chat? Should be looking at the chat. I just noticed I didn't have the same amount of fuel on the two. I'm glad. Oh, these boosters are upside down. Oh, that doesn't matter, but it's just bugging me. Oh, they're gone back to the two-way symmetry again, you stinker. But there was a different amount of fuel in the two boosters because I didn't remove a tank that I should have removed. 3669 is a nice, sensible amount of fuel. This thing isn't going to be pretty as it goes up. Yeah, I know. These guys, the people are pointing out, these two are in mirror symmetry and these two are in radial symmetry. And I think it has to do with what this... But I don't care. It's fine. I'm not going to worry about it. Boom, 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 boom. We're going to live with that. Okay, separatrons. Separatrons. There we go. So where did that other sepratron go? It's over there. Okay, that's fine. You know what? That's probably not the best plan. I probably want him to come more off on an angle this way. And of course, these guys are now the wrong way around. All right, that looks okay. More separatrons on the other side. Stop it. One. Oh my god. 1, 2, 3, 4. I'm going the wrong way because this tank's upside down. And then same dealio on this side. How do those look? Oh, where did... Oh my gosh. Everything's goofy. Okay, we're going to just place these manually. I'm getting so mixed up by the symmetry mode. Remove the symmetry. You're going over here. Sure. Oh my gosh, I got boosters. I got them everywhere. Sure. That one removes symmetry and you get thrown away. Oh, these would be fun if these guys were still there. Okay, remove that symmetry, throw that one away. Okay, I think I got I think I got my separatrons. Okay. All right, and these need to be all in this stage here. There we go. Boom, 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 boom. Okay. That is that. And should I even look at where the center of lift? I mean, it's yeah. We're gonna. What are we gonna do? What are we gonna do? Let's just throw on some tail fins and hope for the best. That's what we're gonna do. So I'm gonna put some tail fins here and put that other one in a sensible spot. And I'm gonna put the other tail. What the heck? Oh, it's upside down. Here, where did I put the other one? That is stupid. Put this one in a stupid spot. There. Well, I'll hope for the best on that. And I'm getting ready to just sort of punch it and see what happens. So let's see. We'll put some launch clamps on this thing. Oh, put that. It's the symmetry now is so unpredictable because some of this was built with radial symmetry, some of this was built with mirror symmetry. But once you've sort of selected a part, you can't switch it. Like once that part was placed that way, it won't let you switch away from that way. So there we go. Okay, put all these guys in the same stage here. there. And bump. We got to tweak down these thrust limiters for sure. Because I'm sure my thrust to weight is redonkulous. That's weird how... Look how that's become small. I don't even know why I did that. Okay, so the thrust to weight is 2.02. So we're just going to get it down to about 1.33. I always say about 1.33, and then I get super duper fastidious about getting it exactly on 1.33. Okay, but they got to be the same. So let's put this guy at 59 and this guy at 59. What does that do for me? 1.33. Happy days. Happy days. Happy days. Happy days. So, okay. Oh my gosh. What a thing. What a thing. I'm going to turn this that way because of its asymmetry and because it'll pitch. I got a feeling there's so much booster out this end, it's gonna want to pitch. We'll see. We'll see what happens. Might need some. Let's see what happens. Okay, launch. Launch. Oh my gosh, launch. I want this thing in orbit before this stream is done. That's the plan. That wasn't the... I mean, that's the plan right now. I went in with no plan. But now I do want to have at least one thing legit in space. Oh my gosh, this needs struts. Oh, for frick's sakes. Revert flight to vehicle assembly. Struts. Struts. How should I be strutting this? Let's see. Let's strut across here. Strut across here. Let's make a square of struts across the whole top end of this. It's going to let me do that. Of course it will. Nope, that got hit. That hit the girder in between there. It's like you got to thread a needle with these struts. Go down this way. That's better. And down this way. I don't honestly think this is enough. There's just no central core to really hook to. That's, I think, the main source of contention here. We'll go this way. Boom. 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 And why are there two? Oh my gosh, where did that tail fin come from? Remove symmetry. Go away. Okay. Strap. There. We'll see what this is like. We'll see what this is like. Here. I didn't... I'm going to change those. I like the white. Okay. Save. Launch. Save, launch, save, launch, save, launch. Struts everywhere. You can never have too many struts. Never have too many struts. Alright, a little... Yeah. We'll see. We'll see. Sorry. Oh dear, oh dear. Okay, yeah, let's do it. So, boom, boom. Oh, there's no way. No way. Oh my god. Oh my god. Oh my god. Oh my god. Trust me, nobody can be more shocked than I am right now. Nobody can be more shocked than I am right now. Okay, you're going to lock that onto the prograde vector. Are you really, really just going to fly like this? Of course, I'm jinxing it completely by being excited right now. Yeah, I want to pitch it over a little bit more. Okay, so I just want to get this heading right on 90. There's a little bit gonzo coming off the letting go of the launch struts. Which honestly, really, like, is anyone at all surprised by that? Okay, it's pitching over a little bit too quickly. I'm just gonna try and, no, hopefully not lose it here. Nope, 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 get back on that prograde vector. I could feel it. I could feel it wanting to flip. I know you want to do it. I know you want to flip. Alright, I'm just letting this go. Okay, we're going to reduce thrust. We have about 48 seconds from our Apple axis. Going to try and sort of keep that kind of constant. What is our inclination like? 0.1? Okay, we're going to keep that. The closer it is to a zero inclination, the better the maneuver tool that plots your planet, you know, your interplanetary stuff seems to like it. I'm noticing that, yeah, the pitch is, it's not quite on that prograde vector there. We'll see what it's like once we lose all of these big 4 SRBs. Hopefully I got that all set up right. Okay. All right, where are we at here? We're going to be losing these under 200. Oh, okay, that's cool. Locking to the... just switched to orbital there. I really didn't look at the staging too closely, so I'm hoping that's going to all be okay. Here we go. Ah, yeah, yeah. Okay, a little more thrust now that we're just on these 4 engines now. A lot more thrust, in fact. A lot more thrust. Okay. Oh my gosh. You know, if anything, it should be the... I should have rolled it the other way around. Because I need to pitch... Let's pitch up a bit. I need to be like little like that. It's pitched a little low. Because it wants to pitch over harder. I should have rolled it the other way. So I'm just going to fight with this a little bit. It's a little bit low. Get that time. Okay, let's see if it can get back onto here again. Oh, lock the prograde. Now I can probably reduce the throttle. Okay. It's just a pitching over a little bit too low for where it was in the atmosphere. And if I had it rolled the other way around, it was just because of the unbalance in the thrust. I had a tendency to pitch over quicker than it should. Okay, really reduce that thrust down. Well, let's lose the fairing. Is this okay? Yeah. Bonk. Nice. Never did test that. We got lights. Put on lights. Might be fixing inclination once we are in space here. Because what is my inclination like? 0.4. I want it to be really close to 0, so we'll do a little orbital tweaking once we're up there. But oh my gosh, color me shocked. Color me shocked. Sort of coming a little bit this way to try and we can fix our inclination a little bit while we're here. Yeah, maybe not. Yeah, it's coming down a little. Okay, that is 80 by 80, and my periapsis is already at 35, just under 35 kilometers. Oh. So we're going to get this into orbit. That is not an issue. So let's time warp out into space. All right, thank you, Normal, for joining us. Low on meters per second, absolutely not. Not even close. 276 meters per second is not low. Because it's going to be nothing. Our periapsis is already positive. It's going to be nothing to circularize this thing. Not a problem. We has this. Okay, we're now in space, so we can Just putting on the thrust limiters on those nerve engines so I don't forget later. Might recall, if you saw the beginning of this whole Jool series, that when I first started heading out the Jool, I had like a few minutes of consternation that I couldn't get the thing to fly and I couldn't figure it out, and it was because I had these set to 0 for the exact same reason I had them set to 0 just a little bit ago. And I'm actually going to do a little bit of Kerbal engineering using this mod that I told myself I only have on for one reason, but I'm going to use it for another reason, which I think is really useful and be nice if the game did this. I'll show it to you in a second, but first is going to be just finish off our circularization. So I'm just looking at my time to Apo here. We're at about 10 seconds. This isn't going to be much. So a little bit of thrust. Here, let us get a little closer. All right. Elu, I've already gone to Elu. Okay, there we go. We're 80 by 80. I've already gone to Elu. My previous craft went to Elu. This is all about things. So this is all about Jool. Or all about Laythe, really. 234 meters per second left. Now, what I would like to do, because I think my inclination, I would love to get this inclination right at 0.3 or 0. It's right now at 0.3 degrees, and where you need to be is at the equatorial ascending or descending node where this orbit crosses Kerbals' equator, but there's just no way for you to see that, and there's no it loves to give you useless information like your longitude of your ascending node or your argument of periapsis, which you will never ever need to refer to, but it won't give you things like, you know, where your ascending and descending nodes are. Oh, actually, yes, I don't need Kerbal Engineer. You can find them with this. Silly me, because the moon is at an inclination of 0. I was going to use Kerbal Engineer to bring up that data, but I don't need it. We're going to go here to our ascending node. So ignore my rant that I just had there, but because we got our nice moon for us. So this is an ascending node, so we're going to have to burn in an anti-normal direction to get our inclination down to 0. Get a little closer to it. We most certainly have the fuel for it. Oh, I should have let myself get there before I time warped. Get on there. Get on there. There, okay. This should be bringing down our... There we go. Inclination is now exactly 0. Moon doesn't need to be our target anymore. That looks spectacular. I don't need these anymore. In fact, they are completely in the way of our space plane, so... Here we go. Yeah, stage, yeah. Boom. Look at that. So those are going to go away. We have our lovely lock you want a prograde command vessel. A little bit of Star Trek looking stuff happening here. Oh, I forgot to put the blue lights on it. Oh well. But we're going to roll this so it's right side up too. But what it needs now, of course, is its crew and they're coming up in that space plane. It's got to come up. It's got to dock, but you saw that come up into orbit already once. So what we're going to do is we're going to do that for next episode. We're just going to level this off here. Oh, I'm so happy. So for next week, what we're going to do is we're going to fly up that space plane. We're going to dock to this, and we're going to head off to Jool. But that's going to have to be for next Thursday. So in the meantime, I want to thank everybody that's in the chat. I want to thank everybody watching this at a later date. And as always, a very, very special thank you to my Patreon patrons and YouTube members who continue to support this channel. But in the meantime, have yourself a fabulous weekend, and we'll see you all next week. Bye, everybody.